Hi there. Hope you had a great Sunday. Today is Sunday, in fact. It is the 15th of September, journal number 170, getting close to that 180 mark. And it is T plus 166, which is getting even closer to that T plus 180 mark of 6 months. Kind of exciting. Actually, it's a whole lot of exciting. I'd like to invite you into my convoluted mind for a little while and explore the idea of great performance, which has fascinated me for a very, very long time. And what constitutes great performance, what stands in the way, why more people aren't committed to achieving it. Many of those elements are, of interest to me, confounding, confusing in many respects. But I was thinking a lot about that, and that's what people like me who don't watch a lot of television do, is they think a lot, and sometimes the result is a video blog like this. But I wanted to go ahead and talk about the role of optimism in great performance. And a lot of different thoughts sort of went bouncing around inside my head until I remembered one of Schneider's laws. And that is that no one wakes up in the morning with the hope of having a bad day. I used to say at the shop, nobody wakes up in the morning and decides to come to work in order to have a terrible day. It isn't something many of us or any of us are likely to strive for. It just doesn't make any sense. It would be safe to say that a lot of us wake up in the morning intending to have a great day and hoping that will happen, forgetting how important it is that in order for that to happen, you've got to do something to make it happen. That important role personal responsibility plays in all of these things that we talk about, especially with regard to personal development and self-improvement. But consistent with that law, one of Schneider's laws, is another law suggesting that nobody wakes up in the morning striving to be average. I mean, nobody wakes up in the morning and says to their wife or their partner or their kids or the people at work, gee, I'm so excited we're going to have an average day today. Again, it's not realistic. It's not reasonable. Why would you want to do that? I know some of you are thinking you know people who do that. I know that. I can hear you. But there's a corollary to that law also that you might be interested in, and that is that no one works to achieve second or third place in anything that's important to us. For all intent and purpose, everybody's trying to win, especially in our culture, where the focus is on first place. There are very, very few examples of sports where this isn't the case. And realistically, I think my son's sport, triathlon, is one of them. A lot of attention is paid in triathlon to who gets to podium. And that means who's on that stand, who came in first, second, third. And then it's important who came in first, second, third in age groups, or where you placed in age groups. Perhaps because there are so many people doing it, it's more of a sport for everyone, for large groups of people. But I think it's true that nobody really starts out wanting to come in second or third. Nobody wants to have the second or third best shop in town. Nobody wants to have the second or third busiest restaurant. Maybe they do. I don't know. I don't know anybody that doesn't want to be the best. I mean, you wouldn't do it if you didn't want to be the best, right? But it goes beyond that. You wouldn't pick a surgeon who very proudly announced that he was average. I wouldn't. You wouldn't pick a surgeon who told you quite confidently that they were third best or fifth best or even second best. You wouldn't want to pick a dentist that way, or how about a tax accountant? You wouldn't want to pick any professional. Can you imagine walking in to court saying you were really proud of the fact that you had an average attorney, especially if the case was meaningful? Those things aren't reasonable. It's not reasonable. When I was still at the shop, I had to believe that we were the best possible choice in automotive service maintenance and repair. Nothing else would work for me, and I was committed to continuing education. I was committed to buying and having available our techs the best equipment that was possible, and I'd like to think that I didn't have to demand that everybody gave their best. I'd like to believe that everybody gave their best because they wanted to be number one. They wanted to maintain that status of being number one. My hematologist-oncologist, Dr. David Schneider at the City of Hope, is probably one of the very top hematologist-oncologists, certainly in the country, perhaps in the world. And especially when it comes to cancers like mine, like myeloid cancers like primary myelofibrosis or any of the other myeloids that are out there, and especially with regard to various more aggressive kinds of leukemia. He deals with life and death every day. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how anybody does that. Having lost someone to the same disease, someone who was the same age, somebody with the same background, somebody who had a decent match as far as a donor is concerned, an HLA antigen match. And having seen, and knowing how it affected me, and having seen how it affected him, I know how difficult that is. But in order for him to do what he does, he has to believe with a perfect faith every time he walks into that hospital to go to work in the morning that he's the best. He's got to believe that he and his team are there to solve every problem and save every patient. Just as my team and I had to believe that we were going to be able to face every challenge successfully. It may not be realistic. It may not even be reasonable. It may be something less than that. But I can tell you for a fact that if you want to be the best, if you want to achieve great performance, it's absolutely necessary. Because of the City of Hope's unwavering commitment to a single purpose, because of Dr. Schneider and his team's unwavering optimism, Dr. Schneider and the folks at City of Hope have probably the highest success rate for stem cell bone marrow transplants in the country, if not in the world, which is a pretty amazing thing when you sit down and think about it. But when you sit down and think about it, great performance isn't just a matter of believing you're the best, although constantly striving to be the best certainly plays an important role in all of that. Achieving great performance requires more than just optimism. It requires both optimism and desire. It requires action as well. So while we're talking about intention and the role intention plays in all of this, while it may be an important role, intention is just what gets you started. And I'd like to suggest that perhaps intention without action, without doing something about it, isn't much more than hope, which isn't much of a strategy in anything, or a fuzzy dream. So while you're striving to move forward in your life, regardless of where you are or what you're doing, whether you're a youngster just starting out or whether you're like me, figuring out what your second or third act is going to look like, those are things to keep in mind. Till the next time we get together, stay well and take care. Remember, you know where to find me if you'd like to leave a comment or ask a question. I'd like to think I'm still the most available guy who does what I do most anywhere. So stay well and take care until tomorrow. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.